I had a cold. That is why I was there.
I bought a generic brand of daytime cold medicine,
A box of tissues, and a bag of cherry cough drops. I used self-checkout. I scanned the 3 items, paid with a card, and put them in a plastic bag. I was tired. My sinuses were tight. I just wanted to get to my car. As I walked away from the register toward the sliding doors, I reached into the bag and opened the cough drops. I pulled one out. The wrappers are made of that stiff, waxy paper that twists at both ends. I untwisted it. I popped the drop into my mouth. A small, torn corner of the wrapper, maybe half the size of my pinky nail, was stuck to my thumb by static electricity. I flicked my thumb. It didn't come off. I brought my hand up to my face and blew on it. The paper dislodged. It fluttered down and landed on the gray linoleum, about 10 feet from the exit. I kept walking. I didn't take 3 steps before they stepped in front of me. There were 2 of them. They were not the elderly greeters who check receipts. They wore dark blue polos and black tactical pants. One had a radio clipped to his belt. The other had a clipboard. They were in their late 20s. "Stop right there," the one with the radio said. I stopped. I assumed they needed to see my receipt. I reached into my pocket to pull it out. "Keep your hands out of your pockets," the second one said. He stepped closer. He was tall enough that I had to tilt my head up slightly. "I'm just getting my receipt," I said. "We don't care about your receipt," the first one said. He pointed at the floor behind me. "Pick it up." I turned around. I looked at the floor. There was nothing there except the tiny, torn corner of the cherry cough drop wrapper. I looked back at them. I smiled a little. I thought it was a joke. I thought maybe this was a strange new anti-littering campaign they were forced to enforce. "You're kidding," I said. "It's a scrap of paper." "It's destruction of store environment and intentional littering," the one with the radio said. His voice was completely flat. "Pick it up." I sighed. I was tired. I told myself it wasn't worth arguing. "Okay, man," I said. "Silly boy." It was a stupid thing to say. I just meant they were taking their jobs too seriously. The tall one grabbed my upper arm. His grip was hard. His fingers dug into my bicep. "Don't speak to him like that," he said. I froze. My heart rate changed. The store around us was still moving. People were pushing carts past us. A woman with a toddler looked at me and then looked away quickly. "You don't stop. You just keep moving so nobody thinks there's a problem." "Let go of my arm," I said. My voice was quieter than I wanted it to be. "You are going to pick up the trash you threw on our floor, and then you are coming to the back office," the first one said. I didn't want to go to a back room. I knew I couldn't go to a back room. I tried to pull my arm away. The tall one shifted his weight and twisted my wrist back slightly. It sent a sharp pain up to my elbow. I dropped my plastic bag. The cough drops spilled out across the floor. "Now look what you did," the first one said. They pushed me downward. I stumbled to my knees. The tall one kept his hand on the back of my neck. He pushed my head down toward the floor. "Pick it up," he said. His mouth was right by my ear. I could smell stale coffee on his breath. Sour. I reached out with trembling fingers. I picked up the tiny scrap of wax paper. He kept his hand on the back of my neck. He pressed down. Just enough so I couldn't stand up. I crawled forward a few inches. I gathered the spilled cough drops. One by one. I put them back into the plastic bag. My face was hot. I could hear the automatic doors sliding open and closed. I knew people were walking around me. I knew what I looked like. I looked like a shoplifter. I looked like someone who deserved to be on the floor. When I finished, he let go of my neck. I stood up. My knees ached. "Are we done?" I asked. My voice was thin. I was looking at the floor. I couldn't make eye contact with them. ID, the first one said. I took out my wallet. I handed him my driver's license. He looked at it. He wrote my name and address down on his clipboard. You are banned from this property, he said. If you come back, you will be arrested for criminal trespass. Do you understand? Yes, I said. He handed the license back. Get out. I got to my car. I sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes before I put the keys in the ignition. My wrist throbbed. I still had the tiny piece of wax paper clenched in my left hand, wet with sweat. I am not an anxious person. I do not have a criminal record, but I don't unwrap things in public anymore. If I buy something, I keep it sealed until I am inside my own house. If I drop a receipt, or a penny, or a piece of lint, I stop immediately. I check to see who is standing behind me. If you're enjoying these stories so far, make sure to like the video and subscribe. There are plenty more disturbing stories coming. Look, I don't usually pull the 4 a.m. clock in. I'm mostly doing this graveyard shift at the Walmart off the bypass to pay off my truck and keep my head above water. Usually, I just want to get in, skewer the rotisserie chickens, and get out before the sun actually comes up. It's a weird vibe in there that early. The lights are dimmed to half power, and it's just you and the hum of the industrial freezers. You start thinking you're the only person left in the world. I was feeling pretty good about the shift, honestly. I had my routine down, I had my headphones in, not too loud because the floor manager is really strict about that. And I was thinking I'd be done way before the first wave of customers hit at 6 o'clock. I liked the quiet. I trusted the building. Then I saw Mike. Partner sat in the rig out front. He was a regular. He'd come in around 4:15 every morning to use the restroom or grab a Red Bull, while his partner sat in the rig out front. He always looked professional, uniform pressed, walking like he was 10 seconds away from a trauma call. We all knew him. You see a guy in a uniform like that, you don't look twice. You just assume he's a good dude doing a hard job. I was labeling potato salad tubs when I saw him head toward the employee break room. He didn't wave or give the usual nod. He didn't even look at me. He just had his phone out, held right at his chest, like he was recording his own feet as he walked. I needed a fresh hairnet, so I followed him back there. I didn't think anything was wrong yet. I just thought he was checking a text or something. The break room door was open a crack. I saw him standing by the coffee station. He had a carton of creamer in one hand and his phone in the other. He wasn't pouring anything into a cup. He was just holding it open, angling his phone so he could see inside the spout. I watched him set the creamer back down. Then he picked up a tube of chapstick someone had left by the microwave. He unscrewed it, did something to the top of the wax, I couldn't see what from 10 feet back, and then put it back exactly where it was. He was filming the whole thing. He didn't look excited or nervous. He looked bored, like he was just checking boxes on a grocery list. "Yo, Mike," I said. He didn't flinch. He didn't jump or try to hide the phone. He just turned his head and looked at me. His eyes were totally flat. "Morning," he said. He slid the phone into his pocket and walked right past me. He smelled like the cold air from outside and that sterile ambulance smell. He headed straight for the deli's walk-in area. I'm just a guy trying to make rent. I'm not a hero, and I'm definitely not paranoid. I figured maybe I was just tired and misreading the situation. But the way he was moving, it sat wrong in my head. I followed him anyway, just to see what the deal was. I stayed polite. He was an EMT, right? You trust those guys. He went to the industrial ice maker, the big bin where we get the ice for the seafood displays. He opened the lid. Out came the phone again. I stood there by the prep table. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just watched him unzip his pants. There's this specific sound liquid makes when it hits a pile of ice. It's a soft, pattering sound. He finished, then he grabbed the plastic ice scoop. He wiped the scoop on himself, actually wiped it on his skin. Then he shoved it into the ice and started stirring it all together. He was mixing the top layer into the bottom, making sure it was all spread out through the bin. He filmed the scoop the whole time. "What are you doing, man?" I asked. My voice felt thin. I didn't step closer. He stopped stirring and looked over his shoulder. "Keeping it fresh," he said. Then he just closed the lid, tucked his phone away, and walked out the double doors like nothing happened. He didn't run, he didn't look back, he just left. I went over and opened that lid. The ice looked fine. It looked cold and clean. That was the worst part. If I hadn't been standing there, I would have used that scoop to fill the bins. I would have dumped 10 pounds of shrimp right on top of it. I went to the manager's office. I didn't add extra details to make it sound worse. I just told him straight. The paramedic just urinated in the ice, the creamer, and someone's chapstick. The manager looked at me like I was losing it. Then he looked at my face and stopped smiling. He pulled the security tapes from the last hour. It wasn't just the ice. He'd been in the aisles earlier with a can of vegetables and a carton of orange juice. He'd even gone into the supervisor's office and hit the keyboard. He even hit a pot of chili. The cops picked him up at the fire station on February 7th. When the news report came out, it got even worse. Prosecutors said he was filming himself doing it, even wiping it on a scoop, to post the videos to online subscription services for money. He was basically selling the footage of him contaminating our store. Mike Miller, Christopher Carroll, 36, was suspended from his job and is facing 23 criminal charges following what the papers called inexplicable behavior. He was denied bail. I don't work the graveyard shift anymore. I told them I couldn't do it. I don't use the break room for anything. I bring my own coffee in a sealed thermos. I don't buy the fresh food from the deli. I know they bleached the bins. I know they threw everything away and replaced the product. But I saw the scoop. I saw how well he mixed it in. Nothing in that store is worth the risk anymore. Now, I just get my hours and I leave. I don't look at the people in uniforms the same way. I don't assume they're there to help. I just assume they're doing something they think is normal, and I'm just the one who happens to be watching. I don't go to the 24-hour locations anymore. It isn't worth the convenience. I just wait until the morning now, even if my daughter is crying. Nothing in that store is worth the wait of someone else's attention. It was a Tuesday. My daughter, Maya, was 4 at the time. She had a fever that wouldn't break, and we had run out of children's ibuprofen. At 11 p.m., the local pharmacy was closed, so I drove to the Walmart Supercenter. The parking lot was mostly empty, save for a few semi-trucks parked near the edge of the lot. The fluorescent lights inside the store were buzzing. It's a specific, low-frequency hum that you only notice when the store is quiet. I put Maya in the seat of the shopping cart. She was lethargic, her head leaning against the cold metal mesh. I walked toward the back of the store. The pharmacy gate was already down, but the shelves for over-the-counter medicine were still accessible. I was standing in aisle 24. I was looking for the grape-flavored liquid. I was focused on the dosage labels. I believed I was alone in that aisle. "She looks like she's suffering," a voice said. I didn't turn around immediately. I assumed it was an associate. When I did look, it was a man. He was wearing a heavy wool coat despite the humidity outside. He was standing much closer than he needed to be. He was about 2 feet away. She has a fever, I said. I tried to keep my voice flat. I reached for a bottle on the top shelf. You look stressed, he said. He didn't look at the bottle. He looked at my throat. A mother shouldn't have to carry that much tension in her neck. It makes the skin look tight. I didn't answer. I put the ibuprofen in the cart and started to move toward the front of the store. I didn't run. I didn't want to escalate. I thought if I stayed polite and moved quickly, he would stay in aisle 24. I heard his footsteps behind the cart. They were rhythmic. He was matching my pace. I turned into the infant apparel section to try and lose him. I was walking past rows of tiny onesies. The aisle was narrow. I felt a hand on the back of my head. He didn't grab me. He stroked my hair. His fingers were cold, and they smelled like stale tobacco and something sweet, like rotting fruit. He leaned down, his face inches from my ear. I could hear the wetness in his breathing. Blue, he whispered. I stopped walking. My hand started shaking on the cart handle. I just stood there. What? I asked. My voice was small. Your underwear, he said. They're blue. Lace trim on the left hip where the seam is starting to go. I saw it when you reached for that bottle on the top shelf. I've been following you since the parking lot. I watched you get out of the car. I looked down at Maya. She was blinking slowly, her eyes glazed with fever. She didn't understand what was happening. Get away from me, I said. He didn't move back. He leaned closer until his chest was pressing against my shoulder. I could feel the bulk of something hard in his coat pocket. I have a van, he whispered. It's quiet. I have medicine there that works faster than that store-brand garbage. I can give you a massage. I can help you relax while she sleeps. You'd like that, wouldn't you? To just let go? He reached around my waist. He wasn't trying to hug me. He was feeling for the waistband of my jeans. His thumb hooked into the belt loop. I'm calling the police, I said. I reached for my phone in my back pocket. He pulled his hand back quickly. He didn't look scared. He looked disappointed. He straightened his coat and stepped back 3 feet. Some people don't know how to accept a professional consultation, he said. He turned around and walked toward the back of the store, disappearing into the shadows of the sporting goods department. I didn't wait for him to come back. I pushed the cart to the self-checkout. My hands were shaking so hard, I had trouble scanning the barcode. I didn't tell the cashier. He was a teenager with headphones in, looking at his own phone. I didn't want to explain what the man had said. I didn't want to talk about my underwear or the smell of the man's hands. It felt degrading to even put the words together. I got Maya into the car. I locked the doors immediately. I scanned the parking lot. I saw a white work van with no windows parked 3 rows over. The engine was running. The headlights were off. As I backed out, the van's lights flicked on. High beams. They filled my rear-view mirror with a blinding white glare. The van followed me to the exit of the lot. It stayed exactly 1 car length behind me until I reached the main highway. When I went through the green light, the van pulled an abrupt U-turn and drove back into the Walmart lot. I didn't call the police when I got home. What would I tell them? A man was creepy in an aisle? He touched my hair? He knew the color of my clothes? Nothing actionable had happened. No one was hurt. But I don't shop at that location anymore. I don't go out after 9 p.m. Service is better. I don't tell her that. I just tell her the service is better. I don't tell her that I still feel the coldness of those fingers every time I walk down a narrow aisle. I don't tell her that I keep my hair tied up in a tight bun now, so there's nothing for anyone to stroke. The trauma isn't a scream. It's a change in routine. I just don't go back for forgotten things. It isn't worth the risk.